aim that you hope to accomplish in the next few years. And if you're comfortable with sharing that, please drop it in the chat. I'll share what mine is in the next few years. I would love to continue to grow my nonprofit and impact more women in my community and Latinos in my community. So that's something that I am striving for. Um, but yeah, if you guys feel comfortable sharing, please drop it in the chat. And we're here to talk about something that most of us wrestle with in our careers, but we don't always talk about it out loud, and that's self-advocacy. So how to speak up, how to step up, and how to secure our seat at the table without shrinking who we are to do that. And I didn't always know how to do that. In fact, I'm still learning a lot, but I want to take you back to where it really started for me. And I want to begin with a story. And that story is a story of an imposter. And funny enough, that imposter was me. I come from a family that immigrated to the United States. My family is from El Salvador, and I'm a proud first generation American. And I actually wanted to show you guys my family. This is a picture. Oh, you can't see it. Oh no. This is a picture from
You can see
2017.
it.
It's a little old, 8 years old, but that's my family, and I just love them so much. I'm a proud first generation American, and I grew up hearing the stories of how my parents came here with nothing but a dream. And my father, he began working at 14, and now in his ripe age, he still hasn't stopped. And my mother, she always put her children's needs above her own. She sacrificed her dreams and her career to give us a better life. And it wasn't a job that she enjoyed. But her job gave her the flexibility to be able to take my newborn brothers to work, right? Because when you're self-employed, you don't necessarily have maternity leave, right? You have to provide for yourself. And so this job gave her the flexibility to take my brothers to work, but still be able to provide for the family. And so my dad, he usually would travel for work. So he would leave Mondays and he wouldn't come back till Friday night or Saturday. So we would see him 2 days a week usually. So while my dad traveled for work, my mother filled in those both parenting roles, right? Being the one that dropped us off at school, being the one that picked us up, being the one that was at choir concerts, band concerts. On top of that, her career, right? Her very physical, laborious job. And I witnessed grit, I witnessed resilience, and I witnessed true love in action. And their work ethic lit a fire in me. I wanted to be great, I wanted to win, and I wanted to be different. But when the opportunities did begin to open for me, I really didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like the child that would. I felt like the child that possibly could, maybe one day. But the reality is that imposter syndrome whispered to me constantly. And I want to ask you guys if you've ever felt imposter syndrome, can you drop a hand in the chat? Because it's something that we deal with a lot, but we don't talk about it. And it's a feeling that's completely normal. And I could sit here for the next hour telling you about the hard parts of my story, but I refuse to dwell there because my story is about perseverance, faith, and choosing to move forward. My faith is something that's very important to me, and I'm a firm believer in Christ. And my faith has kept me grounded when the path was unclear. If you ask me how I got through college, honestly, it was a blur. I couldn't tell you every single detail, but I do know that I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I remember sitting down with an Air Force recruiter ready to enlist because I thought that that was the only way. And I went to my mom and I told her about my plan, and she was just heartbroken at that thought. And I remember one day in high school seeing students just carrying around these thick packets of paper. And I was like, man, like, what is that? I'm someone that I'm a little nosy, so I always want to know what's going on. So, by God's grace, I grabbed one of the packets and it was a scholarship packet. And that packet changed my life. I was able to earn a full academic scholarship to University of Arkansas, where I majored in supply chain management for my undergrad. And after graduation, I left my hometown and accepted a role with Amazon. And mind you, in my early 20s, I was one of the youngest managers in this facility, and I was instantly thrown into a role where I was leading large groups of people. And in all reality, I was not ready. I had never led people before. I was in over my head, and I couldn't necessarily go ask my parents for corporate advice because, they haven't lived that world. They could give me life wisdom, but for this next chapter, it was important for me to build a support system from scratch. At Amazon, I learned that hard work and numbers aren't enough. You have to advocate for yourself. No one No one will champion your value better than you can. It's your job to step up, to speak up, and to claim your seat at the table. Through resilience, faith, and community, I was able to rise through the ranks at Amazon, and I then transitioned my career to Walmart. And at Walmart, I'm very honored and proud to say that at 26 years old, I'm one of the youngest directors at Walmart. And I'm a firm believer that your mindset shapes your reality. And I believe that anything in life is possible. Life is about taking risks. Life is about believing that things you can't even imagine are possible for you. And the ability to win is inside all of us. And I wanted to share with you guys something that impacted me. I've been reading the book Winning by Tim Grover, and there was a quote in there that says, "Winning is everywhere. Every minute, you have the potential to recognize an opportunity, to push yourself harder, to let go of insecurity and fear, to stop listening to what others tell you and decide to own the moment. And not just that single moment, but the next one and the next. And before you know it, you've owned the hour, the day, the month, again and again. That is how you win." Remember that every master was once a beginner. Consistency, resilience, and knowing that you belong at the table, that is what leads to success. And today, I want to leave you with some key principles that have helped me advocate for my career, and I hope that you can apply to yours. Starting with number one, own your story, don't hide it. We all come from different backgrounds, and that is the ability of what makes the human race so magnificent. You and I can look exactly alike, but there's significant moments in our life that make us completely different. Even if we've gone through similar situations, our brains are just rewired in different manners in how we react to that situation. And I'm not successful despite my story. I'm successful because of it. Growing up, I was shameful of many details that made me who I am. I was ashamed I didn't have the newest Vera Bradley. I was ashamed my home did not look like my schoolmates. And I was ashamed of not fitting in, especially after moving back and forth from Los Angeles to Arkansas, until I realized how shameful it is to be ashamed. Yes, I'm not the smartest person in the room. Yes, I do not buy the latest and greatest fashion trends. And yes, I am also at times scared of the future. But these experiences provide such a unique viewpoint of life. If I hadn't gone through XYZ, how could I inspire other individuals in that same position? And life has not always been easy, but I'm so glad that my story is what it is. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of my friendships, and I'm proud of being here today. Imagine if I was too ashamed to share my story with you guys today. Own your story. It's who makes you you. And owning my story didn't just change how I saw myself. It became the foundation for something bigger. It's actually what inspired me to start my nonprofit, Infinite Horizon, a space for women and Latinos who are looking for community, connection, and growth. Because once I stopped being ashamed of my story, I realized how powerful it could be in encouraging others who feel like they don't belong. Through Infinite Horizon, I've seen firsthand how our stories give others permission to rise. Number two, advocate loudly. Let me ask you, when's the last time that you actually wrote down your accomplishments? If I ask you right now, or if someone came up to you and asked you what impact you've had this year, could you answer confidently? If not, it's okay. It's okay. But let that be your challenge after this session, because silent work often goes unseen. Self-advocacy is not bragging. It's translating your impact into visibility. It's important to not wait to get discovered, but instead declare what you bring to the table. I see people often get stuck in cycles where they are unhappy. I hear them say, oh, well, they're never going to choose me. But why not? Why not? All of us are living life for the first time, figuring it out. Why can't the good of life come to you? You are deserving of it. Waiting to be noticed can delay your growth. Advocating accelerates it. And I want to share a tip with you guys that I practice. I actually keep a career wins notebook. I actually have it right here. You can see all the little tabs of my different stories. And with this career wins notebook, I document any large project or win in my career. I write it down in STAR format, not to be confused with the STAR format, that's very similar. I write down the situation, what the situation was, the action that I took, and the result of my action. And keeping this document allows me to look back at my progress over the years, or even when it's time to promote or for a performance review, I'm able to access my career highlights quickly. Remember that if you can speak confidently about what you've done, you'll open doors to what you're capable of doing next. I want to share a little bit of a life story. One of the biggest lessons I learned early in my career was this: delivering results matters, but visibility matters too. At Amazon, I used to think that if I worked hard behind the scenes, the right people would notice. But the reality is, y'all, people, there's so many complexities, man. The business keeps going. And I quickly learned that that's not how it works. You have to be intentional about showing your value. You have to advocate for yourself. So I started finding ways to do just that. So, for example, when I would lead a major project, I would send out recap emails. I would highlight milestone updates that clearly outline what was accomplished and how it benefited the business. And on top of that, I started networking more intentionally. I would reach out to other leaders, ask them questions, and share what I was working on. And it wasn't that I was sharing this out of a place of ego, but from a place of ownership. And also, knowledge is power, y'all. You can learn from others. It's important to learn from others. But then, towards the end of my time, of my career with Amazon, I had a leadership change. And my new boss, he did not speak to me, and he wouldn't go out to the floor with my team. And it was really, really hard. And it wasn't just a disservice to me, it was a disservice to my team. They wanted to see a leader who showed up. And I could have easily stayed quiet. I could have let it slide. And honestly, I think the spicy Latina came out of me a little bit. But the reality is that I know the cost of silence, and I wasn't willing to pay it. So I approached him with respect, but also with directness. I explained what my team needed, what I needed, and why it mattered. And that moment taught me that advocating for yourself isn't just about career growth. Sometimes it's about protecting your values, your people, and your peace. Now, I want to pause here for a second, and I want you to picture the table that you're meant to sit at. Who is there? What are you doing? How do you feel in that space? And now ask yourself, what's standing between you and that seat? Number 3, believe you belong, even when it feels uncomfortable. You are in that room for a reason. And if it doesn't feel uncomfortable, it means you're not growing. I reflect on times in my life where I was switching careers, moving states, leaving relationships that did not fulfill me. And yeah, it was pretty freaking uncomfortable. Every new level that you reach will come with discomfort. That's not a sign that you don't belong, it's a sign that you are growing. Confidence doesn't come before the opportunity, it's built through taking the opportunity. And feeling nervous doesn't mean you're unqualified. It means you care about doing it well. Belonging is a mindset before it's a feeling. You have to decide you belong before you feel 100% comfortable. You weren't given a seat at the table by accident. You were called to be there. This is your story. You belong there. Be proud. Going from Amazon to Walmart was one of the most uncomfortable but most important decisions I've ever made. At Amazon, I knew that business like the back of my hand. I knew the ropes, I had built trust, I knew the pace, I understood my role, I had a rhythm. But when the opportunity at Walmart came, it was really bittersweet because I felt real fear. I was honored and excited, but I was scared. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I didn't know the environment, the systems, the people. Oh my gosh, I'm having to move to a new state. Or essentially coming back home, right? Moving from Oklahoma to Arkansas. It was a new company, a new team, a new set of expectations. And part of me wondered, what if I fail? What if I fail? But I leaned into that discomfort. And that one decision has shaped my entire career in the best way. At Walmart, when I started my career, I started in program management. Then I moved into a strategy role, working as a chief of staff. And now I'm in a completely new space. I'm working in Walmart International, never done that. I'm doing merchandising, I'm doing store ops, I'm diving into the product and tech world, completely different, completely uncomfortable. But every time I've stepped into something new, I had to fight the voice that said, "You're not ready." But here's what I have learned: readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And growth never comes from comfort, it comes from movement, even when it's shaky. Now, let's take a breath. So far, we have discussed owning your story, advocating loudly, and believing you belong. And if you're taking notes, jot down which principles has hit you the most. and why? And if you're in the chat, I would love to see which one has been more impactful to you guys so far. If you could please share that with us.
Ashley, what were the three sorry, I'm typing.
Hey, you cut out, but I think you asked what are the three principles we've discussed so far? So it's
Yeah,
number one, owning your
yeah.
story. Number two, advocate loudly. And number three, believe that you belong. All right, now we're moving on to number four. Build your circle. Community is powerful. I don't know if it was just my family, y'all, but my family was very much about keeping things within our circle. You do not go and ask for help, you figure it out on your own. But the reality is that you cannot do it alone. Life has so many complexities, and because we all own our story, our unique experiences allow us to support others going through similar situations. It's important to build a network of people around you that are not yes men or yes women. You need to find people that will challenge you and remind you of your worth. One of my favorite things to do is network. And I remember when I met Deanna and I was asking her for advice on how to network better. And actually, now that we're talking about that, I remember meeting you, Deanna, and I was even nervous to go up to you and ask you a question. But you introduced me to the idea of coffee chats. And that means getting 30 minutes on someone's calendar early in the morning and just getting a coffee with them. It doesn't even have to be about business, but just get to know that person. I have built so many wonderful connections through just a simple email request and then getting to know them in person. And those are people that I know will be in my life for days to come. Remember that strong people don't just climb, they build ladders for others to climb too. One of the biggest game changers in my career has been the relationships I built along the way. Not the kind where you collect business cards or send surface level emails. I'm talking about real connection, y'all. I don't believe in networking just when you need something. I believe in getting to know people as people. Whenever I join a new team, I make it a point to meet everyone. I want to know my boss's peers, my peers' direct reports, cross functional teams I'll work with, the ones that I might not even work with, but why? Because when the time comes that you do need something, the trust is already there. And it doesn't have to be scary. I know it can be intimidating to think of, oh my gosh, I'm going to talk to this person. What if we have nothing in common? What if it's awkward? It doesn't have to be scary. We're all humans, y'all. At the end of the day, when I meet someone new, I usually start by sharing a little bit about myself, my background, my family, my journey. These are all things that I'm proud of. And usually the conversation will flow naturally from there because you'll find something in common with that person. In Arkansas, we have a lot of biking. So usually it's the biking situation. I love biking. So when I talk to someone, usually they're into biking or being outdoors. So the conversation will just flow naturally. Early in my career, I remember being in over my head. I was in my early 20s and I was leading a group of all men. And they were all older than me and they had way more experience than me. And at times, to be honest, I felt disrespected. I felt small and I was overwhelmed. And I remember a situation that I had where I was sitting in a room with my mentor, bless her heart, Alex Grazier, and I was just crying my eyes out. And in that moment, she didn't coddle me. She looked me in the eyes and she said, Ashley, leave the emotion out of it. That moment changed me. She wasn't being cold. She was showcasing how to lead through clarity, not chaos. And it taught me that people's reactions often have nothing to do with you. They're carrying their own weight and their own battles. That one conversation helped change and shape my entire leadership style. Some people in your network will be lifelong mentors. Others will be a one-time conversation that leave a lasting impression. But every single person you meet has something to teach you if you're just willing to listen. Lastly, number five, keep your faith and grit at the center. Success is not a straight line. It's messy, it's hard, and it's emotional. And your faith, whether in a religion, God, yourself, or your journey, and your resilience are what carry you through. Success isn't about never failing. It's about what you lean on when you do. Faith reminds you that your worth isn't tied to titles, money, or recognition. Grit is what pushes you to keep going even when the door you wanted doesn't open. Faith gives you peace when opportunities feel delayed. Grit gives you fire when opportunities finally come. When your journey gets hard, and it will, you need two things: something to believe in, and a refusal to quit. Faith is your anchor, grit is your engine. And together they make sure your story doesn't end in defeat, it ends in victory. What a blessing it is to be tired in the pursuit of a challenge of your own choosing. I've shared my story with you guys today, not because I have it all figured out, because I know what it feels like to be the only one in the room who looks like you, to question if you belong, to wrestle with silence when you should be speaking up. But here's what I've learned: your story is your strength, your voice is your power, and your presence at the table is not a favor, it's a fact. You are there because you earned it. Advocating for yourself isn't always easy. It takes courage to speak up. It takes faith to walk away from comfort. It takes boldness to build relationships and put yourself out there. But when you do, when you choose to be seen, to be heard, and to be you, that's where transformation begins. And the best part about it, every time you advocate for yourself, you make it easier for the next person to do the same. So here's my call to you today: own your story, speak your value, believe that you belong, build with others, and ground it all in something deeper: your faith, your resilience, and your why. You don't need permission to take your seat. You are the voice, you are the future, and your moment, it's now. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. If you guys would love to stay in touch, I would love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. And I would love to open the floor to any questions you guys might have or any conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. I've been texting with some people. I love her. She's totally badass. Um, and we Latinos are spicy. All great things. And of course, just your passion comes through, and your advocacy, not just for yourself but for others, is inspiring, like I've mentioned. So I would love for some folks to like some of their memorable moments or questions that they have for Ashley. She had some, challenges in her career where she had to advocate and speak up when people told her not to. We've all had those situations, ask questions, and she can share what she did in those moments, and how those may help you with whatever you're struggling with today in your career.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. First of all, Ashley, that was a great presentation. Thank you for sharing with us. I think that one of the points that you mentioned, that if you're not uncomfortable, then you're not growing, that is very important, because usually when people feel uncomfortable, and I think we all, at least I have done that in the past, it's better to stay with what you know. But then if you think about it, that is not going to let you grow. And also you're going to regret it, because then you'll say, why I didn't try to do that. So we have to get out of our comfort zone. And definitely getting out of that comfort zone is going to bring, it's going to make us feel uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, when you do it, then you feel like, oh, I was able to achieve that. Right? Because there's doubts when you're talking about the imposter syndrome, that's part of that. And I think that it just requires, when you said it's a decision, it's not a feeling, it's a decision. When you want to go and achieve the things, that's what really matters. You have to set it out there. What do you want to achieve? What is your goal? Where you want to get? And then, fight for that. And there are going to be times that your mind want to be stronger than you, and it's going to be telling you not to do it because you're not capable. But no, we cannot stop at that point, right? We have to go and fight for what we believe we want to achieve.
Yeah, Marta, and I agree because, I think one of the biggest things that I would ever regret in life is if I look forward, or let's look 20 years from now, and I'm wondering, what if I would have taken that step? What if I would have done XYZ, right? And I don't want to live that way. I'd rather do it now. So I agree with you. It's definitely a choice, and it is scary, but at the end of the day, I encourage all of you guys, if you have a dream on your heart, please take this, mentor. If you have questions and you're like, how do I even get started? That's why there's so many people that you can learn from, right? To be able to accomplish your dream.
Anyone else? Welcome to share questions.
Ashley, I was just gonna share really quick. This is Tammy. Owning your story, someone should have told me that many years ago. When I first started out, just like you, we all have a million things to be ashamed of, right? A million things we didn't do well. But realizing offhand that half the people you work with have the same shame, right? So, I mean, you didn't go to Ivy League. Guess how many people are saying they love LSU or UT who went to U of H and a community college, just like I did. But learning that actually, when a lot of people know I retired last year and now I teach at a community college, and that is just amazing.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think, the college thing, like, yeah, it's important, you can go to whatever school you want to go, but at the end of the day, like, we all have different journeys and we're going to get there somehow. Like, for example, at Walmart, right? Not everyone even went to college. Like, I have peers that didn't go to college, but they worked their way up through experience and they are where they are today through their hard work, right? And their dedication to what they wanted to accomplish. So I agree.
No, and that's how I felt. I mean, we all ended up on the trading floor, which in the energy, that's like the thing, right? But yeah, you thinking no one needs to know the 5 million missteps I made in my past or options I did not have because of those. But yeah, when you realize everyone has a story, and you're right, it might make you, if you embrace it, give you what you want.
Yeah, no, I agree, Tammy.
And
And
give you purpose.
yes, definitely gives you purpose. Because I think like when the journey is harder, you appreciate it even more at the end, right? So thank you for sharing your story, Tammy.
No, thank you for saying that. And hopefully people who are much younger than me are listening, because I wish I'd heard that. It's one of the things that I wish I'd heard a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am.
In the chat, Maria asked or said, I really appreciate your presentation. How did you handle the age difference and not letting it intimidate you?
Yeah, so I was intimidated, not gonna lie. I was in my early 20s leading a group of all men, and they were 40, 30-year-olds. And I realized that they had more experience than me. They had been in the industry longer, right? So one of the most important steps that I took when I joined the team is how do I lead as a servant leader? So I could easily go in there and delegate a bunch of tasks and be like, you're going to do what I say because I'm your boss at the end of the day. But that's not the right approach, right? So for me, servant leadership is so, so important, especially when things hit the fan. You're not there telling them what to do, but you're there alongside your team, working with them. And honestly, that's what helped me be successful. Because I wasn't just telling them what to do. I was in there tossing boxes in the trucks, packing boxes. I didn't care if, no other people of my level would ever go out to the floor and it was taboo. No, I'm there to support my team. And in all reality, that led to them respecting me because they saw me alongside the trenches with them. And at the end, I'm going to be honest, like we had the best team dynamic. It was like a family. We had some of the best results overall, like for our shifts, because we just worked so fluidly together. And it was intimidating, but I think if you approach it from a way of servant leadership, and I think something that's very important as well when you're a leader is how are you developing your team and how are you constantly having one-on-ones with them, right? So for me, I would have a one-on-one with every single one of my direct reports. And usually I would do skip level ones as well, where I gave them the opportunity to not only give me feedback on things that they wanted me to see to do better or something that an opportunity that they saw, or sometimes it was praise, right? But it was also an opportunity for me to give them developmental advice of things that I saw. And I was always looking for ways to advocate for my team because at the end of the day, a lot of people, I think, get lost in chasing their own agenda. But when you're a leader, it's not just your agenda. You have other people to advocate for as well. And I think like when you have that intention, people will be able to see that through you, and they will see that you're genuine, right? And they will respect you as a leader and want to work for you. And that's what helped me.
Treat people like people, right?
Yeah. And I say like one of the things early in my career that someone told me was One, if you put people first, success will always come, especially when you're working in a role where you're leading a lot of people. But number two, it was about my trust and my reputation, right? Because at the end of the day, if I say something and I never follow up with you guys, you're gonna be like, man, like Ashley, she'll say she does it, but she won't actually do it because man, she's a busy girl. But for me, I was very intentional that if someone asked for help, even if I didn't know the answer, I was like, hey, I don't know, but let me find out, and I would follow up within that week. And that just really helped build the trust that people had for me. And at the end of the day, that's your reputation, that's your brand, right? So I think trust is very, very important as well.
It's huge. I used to say, get stuff done. So people know that you're going to be there, build relationships and keep relationships. So you have to have the integrity and then have some fun, right?
Mhm.
And life is hard, work is hard, and, but I do. Integrity is often something we don't talk about. It's assumed, and I think assuming that is incorrect and stating it is powerful. So thank you for that. One of the questions is, how has working at Walmart helped you improve your leadership skills?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I can tell you that I've really had to learn through Walmart was being uncomfortable because I went from a place where Amazon, like I told you guys when I was sharing my story, I knew that like the back of my hand. I knew it from the moment an item enters a facility to the moment it leaves on a box to a customer's home. I knew that building very, very well. And when I decided to make the change from Amazon to Walmart, it was super, super uncomfortable, but I realized that I wanted to do something different, right? And when I got to the company, I think within my role at Walmart, I really learned also how important it was to network because my skills were not the best at the time, right? Like I knew the idea of networking, but I didn't really have to do that at Amazon because I was just always, the go-to leader, the person that knew everything. I had been there since the facility had opened. And so I think that's at Walmart, I really had to improve that networking skill, right? And getting to know different people because the business is so big that you have to learn from cross-functional partners, right? It's not people that you work with every day, but you have to go ask questions. You have to be curious. And yeah, it was being networking, right? Building that network. But number two, also being okay with being uncomfortable. And I think that's something that I'm currently really going through right now in my current role because I'm doing a role that I've never done. I've never been a merchant. I've never worked in Walmart stores. I'm not an engineer. I'm not someone that does coding or does product and tech work. And that's all of my role right now, working with Walmart International Markets, leading merchandising and store operations and product launches. So it's like this specific role, the reason that I took it is because I wanted to be uncomfortable and I wanted to grow. And I knew that in order to continue to build my knowledge portfolio, I had to be uncomfortable. I had to do something that I've never done before. So I think something that I love about Walmart is that there is the flexibility to do that. That if you don't want to do what role you're in, there's always something else that you can do, right? Because Walmart's so big. You can switch completely to doing creative. You can switch completely to being in store operations, to being in e-commerce, to being in security, asset protection, whatever you want to do. There's just so many opportunities there.
Love it. Some of the comments, Ashley, going to take away the career wins notebook,
Okay.
and the takeaway to be able to speak on the business if I was asked this moment. That made me think, and now I am working to put together my elevator speech. I curious, as you started to network, right, more fearlessly, I would say, and just becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable of networking, do you have an elevator speech, or how do you approach that? Because I've had different thoughts on it as well. So I'd love to hear, in your journey, where did you start, and then like where are you at today as far as that goes?
I think so. I'm someone that is very type A personality, so I tend to over prepare for everything. But I think if you go into a networking conversation and you come with an elevator speech, and I mean, it can work for anyone how it works, but for me personally, I like things to be very genuine and authentic. So I don't necessarily come in with the elevator speech. I come in sharing things that I'm proud of. So I share about my story, right? Like I am a first generation American. My parents are immigrants, That's important to me. I have three brothers, they're important to my life. It's important for me to show them that they can break barriers as Latino men. I share, the things that I love doing. I love biking. I love fitness. And that's where you can find things that you have in common with that person. And usually what I do prepare for when I'm networking is that I'm very intentional about the questions that I ask that person, right? So if it's a business partner, like what questions am I asking where it's actually bringing value to what I need in that specific moment, right? So, for example, when I spoke to Deanna, it was very intentional of, hey, how do I network better? Because I am nervous as heck. I'm meeting with these executives and I am scared. And, just having that person show you tips of how they were able to do it. But on top of that, give you the encouragement, right? And that's why I tell people like it's important to share your goals with others if it's someone that you feel comfortable with, because if you share that goal with that person, they're able to hold you accountable and check in with you along the way, right? And possibly even teach you something. But I think the elevator speech thing, if you're really nervous, do it. Like over prepare yourself, and just let the conversation flow naturally. For me, it's not an elevator speech. It's more of like the points that I bring of the things that I'm proud of. So I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. Um, do you have goals set for those coffee chats and like what you want to get out of them when you go in? You said you over prepare. So, and if you don't get what you had wanted, kind of what are some of your follow-ups at the end of the call?
Yeah, usually when I approach someone that I'm meeting that's new, I don't go in there with the intention of talking about business or asking something from them. I usually go with the intention that I actually genuinely want to get to know who this person is, what inspires them, and what, like, if it is something that's related to business, like, what is their role? Like, what is their passion in their role? What are they working towards? And usually, like, after that, you're able to follow up, right? Because then you might need something from them in the future. So you've already built that trust initially from a person to person standpoint. And then once you do need something, right, you can go talk to them and be like, hey, Deanna, like I need your help with XYZ, or hey, like this is a scenario that I encountered. What's your opinion and what do you think about it? Um, but yeah, for me, I try to approach it very, very authentically. I am an over preparer, but for one-on-ones and coffee chats, I really try not to do that. Sometimes I'll do my research on that specific person through like LinkedIn, like using resources like that, reading articles that have been written about them. But most of the time, it's just you go in there with the intention of getting to know the person, and it's just going to flow naturally.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Is there any other questions or anybody want to come off mute and ask anything or say any comments?
I don't have any questions, but I have some comments.
Perfect.
Ashley, your presentation was inspiring. You speak very well, even when you're emotional and open. Um, you really have a great way of getting your thoughts out there, and I appreciate your taking the time to share all of your views and opinions. Uh, my only my only wish is that I was able to have my daughter watch this. She's a physicist, and there aren't many women physicists. Um, and a number of the women engineers that work on my team would gain so much from listening to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Stephen. I believe the session is recorded, so I think you'll be able to share it. But also, let's do it again. Let's invite more people. Let's get more audience, and we can do this again. And I think one of my purposes in life is to help others, and that's why I'm so passionate about sharing my story. Because when I was young, I didn't see a lot of Latina women that were working corporate. I didn't see people that looked like me that were, in the business world and supply chain. As a matter of fact, when I was at the U of A, I was many times one of the only Hispanic people in my classrooms. So that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it, because if you can show people that it is possible, right? That you can show them like, hey, these barriers can be broken. It's possible for you. Like that's just inspiring, right? It leads to that fire, that grit. And I hope, that I have inspired you guys today, and I hope that I can continue to help others and do that through just sharing my story. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And Steve, it is recorded. Tammy, does it go out in email afterwards, or we send it out afterwards in email? How does that work, Tammy?
So I think when you send the survey, you'll send it. It give me a couple days because we've learned that putting it on the Zoom platform, it loses them. So we've lost some amazing ones, Steve, that we've had. So I'll get them on YouTube. But yeah, give me through the weekend and we'll get it on saved on to YouTube. And then we'll let Ashley watch it first in case you hate it. No one ever does. But yeah, and then you could I agree. It's fantastic for daughters and sons who have a little imposter
Agreed.
syndrome.
Agreed.
Yeah, thank you so much for your kind comments. And like I said, I love connecting with people. I love learning from others and hearing other people's stories as well. So connect with me on LinkedIn. We could even have our own coffee chat virtually, you know, and just get to know each other. So yeah, I look forward to connecting with y'all in the future.
Not only does she like networking, she also likes coffee like I do. So
I
that
love.
was an easy thing for us to, we were at a coffee place, right, Ashley?
Yep, we made
When we first met.
our own espressos. It's just so crazy, like when I think back at how one interaction changes your life, because literally, Deanna, like I happened to volunteer for that event, and then I was there, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing here. And Deanna was just very, very genuine, right? So we were able to connect very easily. And then from there, like we connected again, and I was asking her questions like, hey, like this is a scenario that I'm going through. Like, what would you suggest? Do you think I should do XYZ? Because I'm a human. I will make mistakes. So when you can have someone else like helping you and giving you advice, like why not? You know, like we don't have to figure it out on our own. Like it's just that reassurance. And I just think back of how that one interaction has led to even me being here today, right? And speaking with you guys. So yeah, like encourage you guys to network, get to know people. And you'll meet some great people that you don't even know what opportunities could come or the doors that can be open for meeting that person. And
Thank you, Ashley, for those kind words. Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I think someone said, what city are you in? I am currently in Bentonville, Arkansas. So I am where the Walmart home office is located. But I was telling Deanna I need to go travel and do like, I don't know, like we could do like a networking event and get lunch or something, you know? So I'm
I've got a
curious.
couple of cities, Ashley. We have some supply chain series coming up in Boston, New York, not through ASCM, but Boston, New York, and Chicago. So I'll send you the dates if you want to go to any of those and speak with me. I'd love to continue the conversation with you. So let's see. Thank you so much. Sharing the presentation with other coworkers. Yeah. So I will let everyone have a few minutes back to get ready for their 1 o'clock. But again, priceless Ashley. And as Ashley said kind words to me in return to her, like she's become one of my friends, one of my tribe members. And as much as I've given her, she's given back. And that's what I think the power of networking is finding people. And I always say they become your friend at work. They could become your boss, or they could be someone just outside of work that you connect with. And so I believe that it's a two-way street if you're authentic and vulnerable, and you know you're just in there to learn from each other. I learn as much as I hope I can provide back. So I think that's the beauty of these conversations and continuing them. She said 3 times at least to connect with her on LinkedIn. So if you don't, that's on you. She's offered that. She's offered that to you. And I definitely encourage us all to continue to network and connect with each other. And how can we help you? Where are you at today? Where do you want to go tomorrow? ASCM has a lot of great events and resources and, you know, so forth. So look forward to all of that. Thank you all. And once we get the YouTube and Ashley approves, I'll make sure we get it on LinkedIn as well. So follow us on LinkedIn and we'll send it out there as well. So thank you, Ashley, again for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys. I hope you guys all have a wonderful end to your weekend, even a better weekend.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.